this is Sunanda and welcome to my channel. In today's class, we will study a beautiful poem. The name of the poem is After Blenheim, written by Robert Southey. It is in the syllabus for ICSE class 9. So let's begin. We will start with knowing about the poet. Robert Southey, he was born on 12th August 1774 and he died on 21st March 1843. He was an American poet of the Romantic schools and one of the lake poets. Okay, he was a prolific letter writer, literary scholar as well as essayist. Now let us know something about the poem, the theme of the poem. After Blenheim is an anti-war poem by Robert Southey. So it is by the word anti-war we know that is going to tell us about the results or the bad effects or the consequences or horrors of the war. Okay. The poem describes the Battle of Blenheim that took place in 1704. So this particular battle which we are going to learn in this poem is that took place in the year 1704. Through a conversation between an old man and his grandchildren. So how this full poem is presented to us by the medium of conversation between grandfather and his grandchildren. Okay, this poem depicts a common man's ignorance about the casualties of war. Okay, now let's move on to the summary of the poem. That is, we will study in detail about the poem. What does it tell us about? Okay. The poem centers around one of the major battles of 18th century, the Battle of Blenheim. So this Battle of Blenheim was one of the major battles in the 18th century. Okay, written in 1796 in form of a ballad. So this poem is written in form of a ballad and it offers us a deep insight of the war, that is the consequences of the war, the horrors of the war, the effects, the after effects of the war. This has been portrayed in this poem. Okay, through the conversation between old farmer named Caspar and his grandchildren, the poet gradually revealed the scene of a battlefield. So the entire poem is depicted to us through the conversation between this old farmer whose name was Caspar and his grandchildren. Okay, and gradually through the medium of their conversation, the entire scene of battlefield has been portrayed before us. One of the kids had found something large and round. Okay, so one of the grandchildren of the man, he found something large and round and he brought it to his grandfather, which his grandfather explained was a skull. So the thing, the large and round thing that the little boy or girl had found was actually a skull of a soldier who died in the war. Okay, similar incidents run through the poem to support the main idea. So this kind of incident, there are many small this kind of incidents filled in this poem which will tell us about the main idea of the poem. What is the main idea of the poem? The tragic end of war. This is the main idea or the main central theme of the poem, the tragic end of war. And this tragic end is been depicted through various instances in this poem. One of them is this finding of the large and round skull by one of the children. Okay, the poem brings out the horrors of the war. Obviously it's going to tell us about the horrors, the after effects, the casualties of the war. Okay, the harm that any war caused to mankind. The English registered a grand victory over the French. Old Caspar's grandchildren failed to understand how a horrible war could be called famous victory, and old Caspar had no answer to this question. So this poem, in this Battle of Blenheim, we have the English and the French who fought among each other, and obviously the English won the battle, and after they have won the battle they registered a grand victory. Okay, they registered a grand victory over this over the French. And now these children of old Caspar, the grandchildren of old Caspar, they were confused and they have lot of queries in their minds coming up. They asked their grandfather that how can such a horrible war be called a famous victory? So they are small children and they have lot of curiosity and queries regarding it, and they said that how can something so horrible, which has so horrible effects on mankind, be celebrated as a grand victory? And obviously old Casper, he never had an answer to this question. He did not have any answer to this question. This is such an important and essential question, that why to celebrate something horrible? What is there to celebrate something horrible like a war? What is the use of celebrating a grand victory over the French when it had so much bad effects on the entire mankind? Thousands and thousands of soldiers died in the battle. There is a huge casualty after the war. Then why is it so necessary to celebrate the victory? That is the question that came in the mind of the children, and they asked their grandfather, to which old Casper, the grandfather, had no answer. Okay. The horrors of the war are present in a simple yet ironic way. So the poet has beautifully presented the horrors of the way. How? In a very simple way, yet he had an ironic twist into it. Okay. The battle was fought between English and French over a trivial issue. Okay, the issue was very trivial. Trivial means very minor, very ordinary issue, but still the two groups, the English and the French, they fought with each other over this trivial issue. And as a result, what happened? As a result, killed thousands of soldiers. So we have many soldiers who died because of the war, which was caused over a trivial issue. See the irony. Just because of a simple reason, the both team fought, and as a result, what happened? Thousands of soldiers died. Women became widows. Obviously, if the soldiers died, their wives will become widow. Children were orphaned. Obviously, if the father died, the children will obviously become orphaned. So see the casualties of war. The war happened between the two groups, but the result was massive. There were large number of soldiers who died due to the war, and as a result, their wives became widow, their children became orphaned. The battle caused death and destruction. Obviously, any battle will cause death and destruction all over, isn't it? The poem makes us ponder on the purpose and result of war. So the poem is forcing us to think over the issue, that why should we fight? Why should there be any existence of war? Because we can see that what can war cause? A war will cause more destruction than we can imagine. Okay, it will kill lots and lots of people, will affect large number of people in many ways. So what is the need of war? This poem is making us feel this question, pondering us, helping us, making us ponder over the purpose and result of war. Why should we fight among each other? What is the purpose of fighting? What is the purpose of any war? So it has a strong underlying message. What is it? War is futile and should be avoided. So this is what the poet wants to tell us, that we should stop war because it causes only destruction. It has no good effects for anybody. It only kills and creates chaos and destruction all over the place. So this particular poem is a beautiful depiction of the horrors of the war in a simple yet an ironic way. The poet is presenting the entire poem in form of a ballad, that is a conversation between a grandfather and his grandchildren, and they are discussing about the horrors of the war. And a very beautiful question has been asked by the grandchildren to their grandfather, that why is it necessary to celebrate such a horror like war? Why is it necessary to celebrate the victory of something so horrible? And to which the grandfather had no question. Even we don't have, no answer, and even we don't have any answer to this question of innocent mind. The child came up with a very strong question to which we don't have any answer, that why is it necessary to fight, and even if we fight and win, what is the necessity to celebrate that victory? Because the result of that war is obviously destructive. It had killed thousands soldiers, and not only that, it has widowed the wives of those soldiers and orphaned their children, and this casualty is beyond our imagination. So we should, as human beings, stop any kind of war, because war is futile and should be avoided. This is the strong message that the poet is giving us. I hope you have understood the chapter. It's a very beautiful poem with a strong message. and present it in a very simple and realistic way. If you have any queries, do let me know in the comment section. Till then, goodbye. Thank you for watching.